So today I want to talk about the British government and an additional £1.5 billion. Now, over the last couple of days, Europe and the UK leaders have been in a state of shock after some announcements from the new American Trump administration that basically, to cut a long story short, Trump wants to walk away from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And I think that some in the American camp can actually see the realities of the situation, that, you know, Ukraine is in devastation, their economy is shot, there's hundreds of thousands of dead soldiers from both sides. Russia are continuing to advance, and their manufacturing capacity of Russia is far outstripping that of both Europe and America put together. So the US and the Europe just don't have the weapons to send to Ukraine. So the reality of the situation is that Ukraine is not making any gains and is unlikely to make any gains. So America have basically come out and said that Ukraine are not going to be able to join NATO, and as America are by far the largest contributor to NATO, I think that in 2023 the US contributed about 65% of the whole budget for NATO. And it's actually been a bone of contention from the US for many, many years. Trump spoke about this in his first presidency many times, that Europe had just not put in their fair share into NATO. And actually Europe did nothing to remedy that situation, or very little. But anyway, it seems as though, one, the US are wanting to wash their hands of the Ukraine conflict, and if Europe want to carry it on, they're welcome to. And also it seems as that the US want to reduce or completely get out of NATO to save money. You know, the US is in a very difficult financial position in the sense that they have, I think, about $37 trillion worth of debt, and they've appointed Elon Musk to try and reduce that debt. And I think one of the areas where they're going to try and do that is reduce their military budget. Anyway, but as all these announcements from the US have become, you've had Europe in completely panic mode, and we've heard all these statements how all these unelected leaders of the EU are going to stand behind Ukraine, and I feel that they're just not seeing the reality of the situation. And this is actually the thing that I have a bit of a problem here with the UK government, currently led by Kier Starmer. Kier Starmer was one of the first people to basically, he couldn't meet Zelensky fast enough. He goes over to meet Zelensky and he tells Zelensky, there's no issue, you're on a irreversible path to join NATO. Well, actually, Kier Starmer doesn't really have the authority to say that. As the largest contributor to NATO, I think it's fair to say that the US will have the final decision on who joins NATO and who doesn't. But the one thing that's made me somewhat angry is that a few months ago, Kier Starmer went trotting off to Ukraine and signed a deal where he would give Ukraine £3 billion per year till at least 2030. And since these announcements from the US, he's now committed another £1.5 billion to Ukraine, making a total of £4.5 billion per year. Now, it was only a few months ago that the UK government made some changes to the winter fuel allowance that is paid to our old age pensioners. Now, bear in mind, these are people that have worked and paid into the system pretty much most of their life. Like my parents have paid into that system all their life. Anyway, the changes they made to this system will actually give them a saving in the 24-25 year of £1.3 billion, and subsequently approximately £1.5 billion per year. So, and the public in the UK were told that that was the case because the UK just haven't got the money. So he's taken £1.3 billion off pensioners in the UK, and he's now promised an additional £1.5 billion to Ukraine. Now, that's all well and good helping Ukraine if you're part of a nation that can afford to do that. But currently, the UK is in a situation where they have 2.7 trillion pounds worth of debt. And do you know how much that costs to service? In the next 12 months, that debt will cost somewhere between 100 and 130 billion pounds to service, obviously depending on interest rates and some other factors. And that is a figure of £2 billion a week. Now, the other thing is that he's taken this winter fuel payment off pensioners at a time where the cost of energy is at the highest it's been for many, many years. And again, that's down to terrible government policy. Like the EU, the British refused to buy energy off Russia. So they're now buying energy from the US, LNG, which is significantly more expensive than the pipe gas that was coming from Russia. They're also buying actually Russian gas, still LNG, which is more expensive because there's more demand in the world for it, so the price has gone up. And they're also buying oil from India, which is shipped from Russia to India. It's processed in India and it's then shipped back to the UK and Europe. Just how dumb are these politicians? I find it incredible. And, you know, it's my thinking that when you elect someone to run your country, you expect them to run your country in the best interests for that country's people. And I really don't see that happening with the UK. I see them acting not in the best interests of the people in their own country. And I think the reason is there's so many problems in the UK that by, you know, focusing on all these things that are happening outside the UK, all they're trying to do is detract from the problems in the UK. They're hoping to sort of hoodwink the people. And this has been absolutely, you know, hand in hand with the media in the UK, who for years have been suggesting that, Ukraine can defeat Russia, they're winning on the battlefield. And it's only very recently that we've seen in UK media that this narrative has somewhat changed. But I'm going to wrap up now, but I think the thing I want you to focus on is that the UK government need to look at the reality of the situation. You know, Ukraine is in a very bad state. There's estimates that it will cost $3 trillion to rebuild. Now, Ukraine, the EU and the UK just don't have that money. Both the UK economy and the European economy are in difficulty. They just don't have the money to give to Ukraine. So if America walks away, how's it going to be funded? You know, are they going to put the UK and the EU into even more debt? Wouldn't it be much better to work out a deal with Russia to bring an end to the war? Okay, it may not be the deal that they like, but people will stop getting killed and it will bring peace. Anyway, I'm sure this is very, very controversial. Let me know in the comments what you think. But as always, for now, take care.